Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. I am Seema Shane and today we are going to be looking at Introduction to Thermodynamics. The word thermodynamics implies the flow of heat. The subject, however, is much more comprehensive. It deals with energy changes accompanying all types of physical and chemical processes. Thermodynamics is based on two generalizations called the first and second law of thermodynamics. These are based on human experience. There is no formal proof for these laws. All that one can say is that nothing contrary to these laws has ever been known to happen whenever we consider the behavior of matter in bulk. Scientists consider that nothing contrary to these laws will ever be known. The laws of thermodynamics are not at all concerned with the atomic or molecular structure of matter. The importance of thermodynamics. Thermodynamics is a fundamental subject of great importance in physical chemistry. Most of the important generalizations of physical chemistry, like Van 't Hoff law of dilute solution, Rawls law of vapor pressure lowering, distribution law, law of chemical equilibrium, the phase rule, and the other laws of thermochemistry can all be deduced from the laws of thermodynamics. Thermodynamics also helps us to lay down the criteria for predicting feasibility or spontaneity of a process, including a chemical reaction, under a given set of conditions. In other words, we can predict whether a given process or chemical reaction is feasible under the given conditions of temperature, pressure, and concentration. Thermodynamics also helps us to determine the extent to which a process, including a chemical reaction, can proceed before the attainment of equilibrium. The limitations of thermodynamics are as follows. The laws of thermodynamics apply only to matter in bulk and not to individual atoms or molecules. Thermodynamics can only predict whether a given process or chemical reaction is feasible under a given set of conditions. It does not tell us anything about the rate at which the reaction may proceed. For example, the thermodynamics predicts that hydrogen and oxygen gases would react at ordinary temperature to yield liquid water. But it does not tell us whether the reaction will be feasible, as in fast or slow. We know only from experiments that in absence of a catalyst, the reaction is extremely slow. Some of the basic terms used in thermodynamics are as follows. System. A system may be defined as any specified portion of matter under study which is separated from the rest of the universe with a bounding surface. A system may consist of one or more substances. The rest of the universe, which might be in a position to exchange energy and matter with the system, is called the surroundings. In simple cases, surroundings generally imply air or a water bath in which a system under examination is immersed. A boundary is a wall that separates the system and the surrounding. It could be real or imaginary. The different types of thermodynamic systems are as discussed. An open system is a system which can exchange matter as well as energy with its surroundings. For example, hot coffee in an open cup. The energy is exchanged in the form of heat and matter is exchanged in the form of vapors. A closed system is a system which can exchange energy but not matter with its surroundings. For example, pour hot coffee in a cup and cover it with the lid. Energy is exchanged in the form of heat, but the vapors are not exchanged with the surroundings. An isolated system is a system which exchanges neither energy nor matter with its surroundings. For example, hot coffee in a thermos flask, neither the coffee vapors nor heat is exchanged with the surroundings. Systems can also be classified as homogeneous and heterogeneous. A system is said to be homogeneous when it is completely uniform throughout. For example, a pure solid or a liquid or a solution or a mixture of gases. In other words, a homogeneous system consists of only one phase. For example, a water-alcohol mixture. A system is said to be heterogeneous when it is not uniform throughout. In other words, a heterogeneous system is one which consists of two or more phases. Thus, a system consisting of two or more immiscible liquids like water and oil, or a solid in contact with a liquid in which it does not dissolve, is a heterogeneous system. A liquid in contact with its vapor is also a heterogeneous system because it consists of two different phases. A phase is defined as a homogeneous and physically distinct part of a system which is bounded by a surface and is mechanically separable from other parts of the system. State of a system. When macroscopic properties of a system have definite values, the system is said to be in a definite state. Whenever there is a change in any one of the macroscopic properties, the system is said to change into a different state. Therefore, the state of a system is fixed by its macroscopic properties. For example, here are two states of the same system. The mass of both is constant. However, the mass and temperature variables of the system are constant, but the volume variables are different, which marks the difference in their states. State variables. Since the state of a system changes with change in any of the macroscopic properties, these properties are called state variables. It also follows that when a system changes from one state, called the initial state, to another, called the final state, there is invariably a change in one or two of the macroscopic properties. Pressure, temperature, volume, mass, and composition are the most important state variables. In actual practice, it's not necessary to specify all the state variables because some of them are interdependent. In the case of a single gas, composition is not one of the variables because it always remains 100%. Further, if the gas is ideal and 1 mole of the gas is under examination, then the ideal gas equation can be reduced to PV is equal to RT, where R is the gas constant. Evidently, if only two of the three variables, PV and T, are known, the third can easily be calculated. The two variables generally specified are temperature and pressure. These are called the independent variables. The third variable, generally volume, is called a dependent variable because its value depends upon the variation in values of pressure and temperature. Thus, volume is said to be a dependent variable. The thermodynamic state of a system consisting of a single gaseous substance may be completely defined by specifying any two of the three variables, that is pressure, temperature, and volume. Thermodynamic equilibrium. A system in which the macroscopic properties do not undergo any change with time is said to be in thermodynamic equilibrium. Suppose a system is heterogeneous, that is, it consists of more than one phase, then if it is an equilibrium, the macroscopic property in the various phases remain unaltered with time. The thermodynamic equilibrium implies the existence of three kinds of equilibria in the system: thermal equilibrium, mechanical equilibrium, and chemical equilibrium. A system is said to be in thermal equilibrium if there is no flow of heat from one portion of the system to another. This is possible if the temperature remains the same throughout in all parts of the system. Consider an initial situation where two systems are placed in contact, one of them at a higher temperature and one of them at a lower temperature. Heat flows from the system at higher temperature to the system at lower temperature until both of these systems are at same temperature, that is, they acquire thermal equilibrium. Mechanical equilibrium. A system is said to be in mechanical equilibrium if there is no mechanical work done by one part of the system and another part of the system. This is possible if pressure remains same throughout all of the parts of the system. In this example, the system is in mechanical equilibrium because the upward forces on the system is completely balanced by the downward force of the system. Chemical equilibrium. A system is said to be in chemical equilibrium if the composition of the various phases in the system remain the same throughout. The rate of the forward reaction is equal to the rate of the backward reaction. Extensive and intensive properties. An intensive property of a system is that which is independent of the amount of substance present in the system. The examples are temperature, pressure, density, viscosity, refractive index, surface tension, and specific heat. An extensive property of a system depends upon the amount of substance or substances present in the system. The examples are mass, volume, energy, size, weight, length, etc. In the light of the above definitions, extensive properties of a single substance will depend upon the number of moles N of the substance present and also on any two of the three variables P, V and T, which are known as the independent variables. If N is kept constant, the extensive property of the system will depend on only two of the independent variables. If a system under examination is a mixture of two or more gases, the extensive properties vary with the number of moles Na, Nb, Nc, etc. of the constituents A, B, C, etc. present in the system and also with the two independent variables. The intensive properties in such cases will depend upon the concentration of the various species, besides the two independent variables. Thermodynamic processes. The operation by which a system changes from one state to another is called a process. Whenever a system changes from one state to another, it is accompanied by a change in energy. In the case of open system, there may be a change of matter as well. The following processes are well known. Isothermal process. The temperature of the system remains constant during each stage of the processes. That is, delta T is equal to 0, which is the change, there is no change in temperature. Isobaric, pressure of the system remains constant during each stage of the process. That is, delta P is equal to 0. Isochoric, volume of the system remains constant during each stage of the process. Delta V is equal to 0. Adiabatic process, no heat enters or leaves the system during any step of the process. Delta Q is equal to 0. Other processes that are considered are reversible and irreversible processes. A process carried out infinitesimally slowly so that the driving force is only infinitesimally greater than the opposing force is called a reversible process. Any process which does not take place in the above manner is called an irreversible process. A reversible process cannot be realized in practice because it would require infinite time for its completion. Hence, almost all processes occurring in nature or in a laboratory are irreversible. A reversible process therefore remains imaginary and theoretical. Nevertheless, the concept is highly useful since it leads to a lot of definite conclusions. The internal energy is a state function. When we talk about our chemical system losing or gaining energy, we need to introduce the quantity which represents the total energy of the system. It may be a chemical, electrical, mechanical, or any other type of energy we may think of. The sum of all these is the energy of the system. In thermodynamics, we call it the internal energy U of the system, which may change when heat passes in or out of the system, work is done on or by the system, matter enters or leaves the system. Work. Consider a system containing some quantity of water in a thermos flask or in an insulated beaker. This would not allow exchange of heat between the system and surroundings through its boundary. This type of system is known as an adiabatic system. The manner in which the state of a system may be changed will be called an adiabatic process. In an adiabatic process, there is no transfer of heat between system and surroundings. The wall separating the system and surroundings is called an adiabatic wall. We can bring about a change in the internal energy of the system by doing some work on it. Let us call the initial state of the system as state A and its temperature as Ta. Let the internal energy of the system in state A be UA. We can change the state of a system in two different ways. One way is to do some mechanical work, say 1 kilojoule of work, by rotating a small set of paddles and thereby churning the water. Let the new state be called state B and its temperature be Tb. It is found that Tb is greater than Ta and the change in temperature delta T is given by Tb minus Ta. Let the internal energy of the system in state be Ub and the change in internal energy can be written as delta U is equal to Ub minus Ua. The second way is to do an equal amount of work, that is 1 kilojoule of electrical work, with the help of an immersion rod and note down the temperature changes. We find that the change in temperature is same as in the earlier case, say Tb minus Ta. We need to define a quantity, the internal energy U, whose value is characteristic of the state of a system. whereby the adiabatic work WAD required to bring about a change of state is equal to the difference between the value of U in one state and that in the other state. That is, delta U is equal to UB minus UA. Therefore, internal energy U of the system is a system function. Sign convention. When work is done on the system, the work done is positive, that is plus W. When work is done by the system, work done will be negative, that is minus W. When energy is given to the system, the internal energy of the system increases and the sign used is positive, that is plus U. When the energy is given from the system or by the system to the surroundings, the internal energy of the system decreases and the sign used is negative. To sum up, work done on a system is positive, work done by the system is negative. When energy is supplied to the system, it's positive, and when energy is supplied from the system to the surroundings, it's negative. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the bell icon to get notified every time I post.